The apartment was silent except for the faint scratch of pencil against paper. It was 3:47 a.m., and 8-year-old Marcus Chen hadn't slept in 36 hours. His mother, Melissa, had stopped trying to force him to bed 2 days ago. Something was different about her son tonight, something inexplicable and deeply unsettling. Marcus sat cross-legged on the living room floor, surrounded by sketch papers. At least 40 of them lay scattered around him, each one filled with intricate star formations. His small hands moved with mechanical precision, drawing lines and dots with a focus that no child his age should possess. His eyes were open but distant, glazed over as if he were seeing something far beyond the apartment walls. "Marcus, sweetheart," Melissa whispered from the doorway, her voice trembling with concern. "It's almost 4 a.m., you need to sleep, honey." Her son didn't acknowledge her. His pencil continued its steady rhythm, scratch, scratch, scratch. 7 stars arranged in a perfect geometric pattern, then another arrangement below it, then another. The patterns were all different, yet somehow interconnected by invisible threads of mathematics. Melissa had called her husband, who was traveling in Tokyo for work. She'd called her own mother. She'd even considered contacting their family doctor. But what would she tell them? That her son was drawing star systems in the middle of the night? That seemed ridiculous, paranoid, and yet the precision of these drawings was undeniable. She knelt beside Marcus, studying his work more carefully. The patterns weren't random children's doodles. They possessed a terrible, beautiful complexity. Each star was positioned exactly, separated from the others by calculated distances. The symmetry was absolute, perfect. "Marcus," she tried again, more gently. "Where are these coming from, baby? Are you drawing from something you saw in a book?" For the first time in hours, Marcus turned to look at his mother. His eyes focused, returning from whatever distant place they'd been exploring. When he spoke, his voice was small and confused, as if he were waking from a deep dream. "I don't know, Mom," he whispered. "They're just there, in my head, in the dark place where all the lights are. I can see them so clearly, and I'm scared I'll forget if I don't draw them." Melissa's heart clenched. She pulled her son into her arms, feeling him tremble against her chest. He was burning up, his forehead damp with perspiration despite the cool apartment. "What dark place, sweetheart? Are you having nightmares?" "Not nightmares," Marcus said, his voice distant again. "It's not scary, it's just big, so big. There are lights everywhere, and they're moving, and they're building things, and they need me to remember. They showed me because I can hold the pictures in my head better than other people." Melissa held her son tighter, her mind racing. She decided then to photograph every single drawing before morning. If something was wrong, if Marcus was ill, if this was some kind of medical emergency, the doctors would need to see everything. She carefully gathered the papers, each one a testament to her son's impossible visions. And she made a decision. She would send them to Sarah. Her sister was a scientist. Maybe she could explain what was happening to her brilliant, terrifying, extraordinary boy. By dawn, Marcus finally slept, exhausted and peaceful. And Melissa sent the photographs, along with a message that would change human history forever. Dr. Sarah Chen was halfway through her morning coffee when the message notification pinged on her secure terminal. Station Kepler 9 orbited silently through the void of space, 1,200 light-years from Earth, and Sarah had grown accustomed to the isolation. Most communications were routine, research updates, supply manifests, personnel reports. Nothing exciting, nothing world-changing. Until now. She opened the message from her sister Melissa and saw the attached photographs. Star systems, 7 of them drawn with meticulous precision by an 8-year-old child. Sarah's coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. "That's impossible," she muttered, setting it down carefully on her desk. But her scientific mind immediately began working. She pulled up the observational database and started entering the coordinates that corresponded to Marcus's first drawing. The stars' positions, the distances between them, the geometric arrangement. It was an absurd exercise. The probability of this random arrangement existing in known space was infinitesimal. Children drew things. That was what children did. They drew dinosaurs and spaceships and fantastical creatures. They didn't draw actual star systems. Sarah's fingers trembled as she initiated the search. The database word processing millions of stellar coordinates. Seconds ticked by, then minutes. She was about to cancel the query when the system pinged. Match found, confidence rating, 99.7%. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The coordinates Marcus had drawn corresponded to a stellar formation approximately 847 light-years from Earth, in the direction of the Carina Nebula. A system of 7 stars currently in the process of formation. Gravitational models indicated they were still coalescing, still drawing stellar dust and hydrogen toward their cores. Still forming. No, 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 Sarah whispered, running the analysis again. There had to be an error, a glitch in the database, some kind of coincidence. But the numbers were undeniable. Her 8-year-old nephew had drawn a star system that actually existed. A star system that wasn't even fully formed yet. Sarah's hands shook as she pulled up the other 6 drawings Melissa had sent. She entered their coordinates one by one, half expecting each search to fail. But they didn't. Every single system matched. Every geometric arrangement corresponded to actual stellar formations in deep space. Systems that conventional astronomy hadn't detected because they were beyond the range of standard surveys, hidden in the noise of distant space. She stood up, packing her small office. Through the viewport, the stars glittered with cold indifference. Somewhere out there, in that vast and silent void, 7 stars were forming according to patterns her nephew had drawn while sleeping. The probability calculations made her nauseated. This wasn't random chance. This wasn't a lucky guess. This was something else entirely, something that suggested her nephew wasn't just drawing stars, he was somehow seeing them, receiving images of them from some source she couldn't fathom. Sarah returned to her terminal and began pulling up more data. She needed to understand the timeline. When had these stellar formations begun? How long would they take to stabilize? And most importantly, how could Marcus possibly know about them? She composed a message to her sister, her fingers moving quickly across the keyboard. Melissa, the drawings are real, every single one. Marcus drew actual star systems that are currently forming in deep space. I need you to keep him safe and keep this absolutely confidential. Something extraordinary is happening, and I need to understand what it is. Then she did something she never thought she'd do. She sent a classified communication to the United Nations Astrophysics Division. Sarah Chen had just discovered proof of the impossible, and she had no idea what it meant. The emergency session of the United Nations Security Council convened in New York at 6 a.m. on a gray Tuesday morning. Secretary General Amara Okonkwo sat at the head of the table, her expression grave as she reviewed the astronomical data Sarah Chen had submitted. Around her, representatives from the world's major powers shifted nervously in their seats, whispering urgently to their advisors. Dr. Chen, Okonkwo said, addressing Sarah through the secure video link from Station Kepler 9. You're telling this council that an 8-year-old child has somehow drawn 7 star systems that actually exist in deep space. Systems that are currently forming. Systems that should be impossible for him to know about. Yes, Madame Secretary General, Sarah replied, her voice steady despite her racing heart. I've triple-checked the data. The probability of random coincidence is approximately 1 in 400 billion. A representative from Russia leaned forward. This could be fabricated data. The child could have accessed classified astronomical databases. There could be a security breach. That's impossible, Sarah countered. Marcus Chen is 8 years old. He lives in Vancouver with his mother. He has no access to any classified systems, and more importantly, 4 of the 7 star systems he drew don't appear in any publicly available database. They're beyond the range of conventional surveys. I had to use advanced gravitational modeling just to find them. The representative from China interjected. Perhaps this is some kind of psychological phenomenon, a savant ability combined with lucky guessing. Dr. James Reeves, the lead neuroscientist brought in for consultation, shook his head firmly. The statistical probability makes that explanation untenable. I've examined Marcus extensively. He shows no signs of extraordinary cognitive abilities in other areas. His IQ is above average but not exceptional. His mathematical skills are normal for his age. This isn't savant syndrome. This is something else entirely. Something else, France's representative demanded. What could possibly explain this? Sarah pulled up her latest analysis on the main display. That's what we're trying to determine, but I've discovered something additional. Over the past month, Marcus has drawn 8 more star systems. I've verified each one. They all exist. They're all in the process of formation. The room erupted. Voices overlapped. Accusations flew. Some demanded Marcus be placed in protective custody. Others insisted on a full neurological workup. Still others suggested the data was fabricated, either by Sarah or by foreign powers attempting some kind of hoax. Okonkwo raised her hand for silence. Dr. Chen, there's one question we must ask. Is there any pattern to these star systems? Any way they're connected? Sarah took a breath. This was the part that terrified her most. Yes, she said quietly. I've plotted all 15 star systems in three-dimensional space. When I overlay them spatially, they form a larger pattern, a recognizable pattern. She displayed the image on the main screen. The assembled world leaders leaned forward, studying the constellation of stars that had taken shape. It was the constellation Orion, humanity's oldest star pattern, named for the hunter in Greek mythology, recognized by civilizations across Earth for thousands of years, and now, impossibly, being replicated in deep space through stellar formations that shouldn't exist. They're communicating, Sarah said, her voice trembling. The entities creating these star systems, they're communicating with us in a language we can understand. They know our mythology. They know our culture. The silence that followed was absolute and terrifying. Sweet God, someone whispered, we're not alone. Secure facility in Geneva was built deep underground, shielded from electronic surveillance and prying eyes. Dr. James Reeves led Marcus Chen through sterile white corridors, the 8-year-old boy looking small and frightened in his oversized visitor's badge. Behind them, armed security personnel maintained a discreet distance. It's okay, Marcus, Reeves said gently, placing a reassuring hand on the boy's shoulder. We're just going to talk, maybe do some drawing, nothing scary. Marcus nodded, but his dark eyes darted nervously around the facility. He'd been separated from his mother for the first time in his life. The UN had arranged for Melissa to receive specialized care in a separate location, ostensibly for her protection, though Marcus understood it was more like isolation. The observation room was designed to be comfortable. Soft lighting, colorful cushions, drawing supplies scattered across a low table. Children's toys occupied one corner. Despite these attempts at normalcy, the room hummed with hidden technology, EEG sensors embedded in the walls, thermal imaging cameras, neurological monitors disguised as innocent furniture. Tell me about the drawings, Marcus, Reeves began, settling into a chair across from the boy. When you draw the stars, what are you seeing? Marcus picked up a pencil, his small fingers gripping it with unusual confidence. It's like when you remember something from yesterday, but I've never been there, the dark place. It's like nothing and everything at the same time. The dark place, Reeves repeated, making notes. Can you describe it more? It's where everything is far away, Marcus said, beginning to sketch. His pencil moved with that same mechanical precision that had alarmed his mother. There are no sounds, no talking, just quiet, but things are happening, big things, really big, and they're not finished yet. They're still building. Who's building, Marcus? Do you know who they are? The boy paused, his pencil hovering over the paper. They don't have names, not like people names, they're everything, like they're in the stars, like they are the stars, and they're showing me because I can remember. They need me to remember. Reeves's pulse quickened. Why do they need you to remember? Because the other people have to know, Marcus said matter-of-factly. They have to start building, they have to start soon, before the dark comes. Before the dark comes? Reeves leaned forward. What dark, Marcus? The boy's pencil moved faster, more frantically. He was drawing a new system now, one Reeves hadn't seen before. The star arrangement was different from the others, more complex, with additional markings and notations that looked almost like a calendar or timeline. This one comes first, Marcus said, pressing so hard with his pencil that the paper nearly tore. When you're ready, when you understand, you have to start here because everything else comes after, and there isn't much time. There's so much time, but also not much time. It's confusing. What's confusing, buddy? Millions of years is a long time, Marcus explained with the peculiar logic of children. But it's also fast when you're far away. When you can see everything at once, time is different. And they showed me that you have to start soon. In your time, not their time, because the bad thing is coming, the dark bad thing. Reeves made an urgent note. Every psychologist, neuroscientist, and linguist monitoring this session through the hidden cameras was recording every word. They were transcribing, analyzing, searching for patterns. Marcus, this bad thing, Reeves said carefully. Can you tell me about it? The boy set down his pencil and looked directly at the neuroscientist with unsettling intensity. For a moment, his 8-year-old eyes seemed ancient, bearing knowledge no child should possess. "It's going to eat your home," Marcus said simply. "Your star, your world, everything near it. It's coming through space and nothing can stop it. But they can help you leave, if you start building the new places now, if you listen to what they're showing me." The room fell silent, except for the soft scratch of hidden recording devices. Marcus returned to his drawing, adding final details to the star system with methodical precision. "This is where you have to go first," he whispered. "This is where everything begins, Doctor." Amara Os hadn't slept in 47 hours. Her eyes burned as she stared at the holographic display in the research facility, watching the 23 star system drawings rotate slowly in three-dimensional space. Coffee cups surrounded her workstation, most of them half-empty and days old. Her colleagues had stopped trying to convince her to rest. The breakthrough came at 3:14 a.m. Osa had been analyzing the formation timelines for each of Marcus's star systems, calculating how long it would take for each one to stabilize based on gravitational models and stellar physics. What she discovered made her gasp aloud, loud enough that the security personnel outside her door shifted nervously. The timelines weren't random. Each star system would reach full stabilization at precise, staggered intervals. The first would be complete in approximately 2 million years, the second in 2.3 million years, the third in 2.7 million, and so on, stretching across 47 million years of cosmic development. But here was the crucial detail: the intervals weren't arbitrary. They were mathematically linked, sequential, ordered. It was a narrative written in stellar physics. "It's not a warning," Osai whispered to herself, understanding flooding through her mind. "It's a blueprint, an instruction manual." She immediately initiated a conference call with Sarah Chen at Station Kepler 9 and the assembled scientists at the Geneva facility. Within minutes, she was presenting her findings to an international audience of the world's greatest minds. "Look at this timeline," Osa explained, displaying the data. "If we treat each star system formation as a step in a larger process, a sequence of development spanning millions of years, it tells us something profound. It's not showing us random worlds, it's showing us how to build them. The sequence, the timing, the gravitational mechanics, it's all here. It's a masterclass in stellar engineering." "You're suggesting," Sarah said slowly from her station in deep space, "that whoever or whatever is creating these systems is intentionally demonstrating how we could do the same thing." "More than suggesting," Ose replied. "I'm stating it as fact. The mathematical precision is undeniable. This isn't nature. This is engineering on a cosmological scale, and they're leaving breadcrumbs for us to follow." A representative from the International Space Agency leaned into her microphone. "But why? Why would an advanced civilization teach us how to build star systems?" Admiral Helena Vasquez, present in the Geneva facility, asked the question everyone was thinking. "Dr. Os, have you calculated what would happen if we followed these instructions? If we actually attempted to build the first star system?" Osai pulled up another set of data, her hands trembling slightly. "The first system Marcus drew, the one he said we have to start with, is located 110 light-years from Earth. The gravitational conditions are optimal. The stellar dust and hydrogen clouds are abundant. And according to the timeline embedded in the sequence, if we began construction immediately, we could establish the first world in approximately 50 years. 50 years, someone exclaimed. "That's impossible." "Not impossible," Osai corrected firmly. "Merely beyond our current technological capabilities. But if we develop the necessary tools, gravitational manipulators, stellar anchors, exotic matter generators, it could be done. And look at this, the second system would take another 30 years to establish. The third, another 40. The intervals aren't random either. They're spaced to allow for human generational turnover, for knowledge transfer, for civilization to adapt to each new world before moving to the next." Sarah's voice came through the speakers, tight with emotion. "They're not just teaching us how to build star systems, they're teaching us how to survive, how to spread across the galaxy in a sustainable, manageable way." "But survive what?" Marcus's neuroscientist, Dr. Reeves, asked. "What are we surviving from?" Osai pulled up her final display, the one that had kept her awake for 2 days. "That's the terrifying part. I've been analyzing the cosmic background radiation data. There are gravitational disturbances at the edge of our solar system. Stellar debris patterns that don't match any known phenomenon. When I run the projections backward, they indicate a massive collision event that occurred billions of years ago, far beyond our space. She paused, letting the weight of her next words settle. The debris field is moving, traveling through space, and based on current trajectories and gravitational acceleration patterns, it's headed directly toward human-occupied space. The silence in both the Geneva facility and at station Kepler 9 was absolute. "How long?" Admiral Vasquez asked quietly. Osai's voice dropped to barely a whisper. 300 years, maybe less. The phenomenon is accelerating. We have approximately 3 centuries before an extinction-level cosmic event reaches Earth. Announcement to the world came on a Tuesday morning, broadcast simultaneously across every major news network, radio station, and digital platform. Secretary General Okonkwo's face appeared on billions of screens, her expression grave and controlled despite the apocalyptic message she was about to deliver. "Citizens of Earth," she began, her voice steady, "humanity stands at a critical juncture. In the coming hours and days, you will learn of a cosmic threat to our species' survival. This is not a hoax. This is not a drill. This is reality, and we must face it with courage and unity." The revelation sent shockwaves across the planet. Stock markets crashed within minutes. Governments declared states of emergency. Religious leaders convened in churches, mosques, temples, and synagogues as people grappled with the existential weight of impending doom. Suicide hotlines were overwhelmed. Protests erupted in major cities. Some demanded the scientists be executed for spreading lies. Others demanded immediate evacuation from Earth. But the data was irrefutable. Dr. Osai's team released every scrap of evidence. Gravitational measurements, spectroscopic analysis, mathematical projections, and cosmic background radiation data. The extinction wave was real. Something vast and unstoppable was moving through the galaxy. When it passed through the Sol system, it would strip away Earth's magnetic field, disrupt planetary orbits, bathe the surface in lethal radiation, and transform humanity's cradle world into a frozen, lifeless rock. In the Geneva facility, Marcus Chen watched the news coverage on a wall monitor, his 8-year-old mind processing information that would terrify most adults. He looked at Sarah Chen, who had traveled from station Kepler 9 to Earth for the first time in a decade. "They're scared now," Marcus observed quietly. "Yes," Sarah said, sitting beside her nephew. "People are scared, but that's why the architects showed you the star systems, isn't it? Not to scare us, but to save us." Marcus nodded solemnly. "They said if you start now, you'll have enough time, but you have to start now. Not tomorrow, not next year, now." Within weeks, the United Nations established the Stellar Development Authority, a new global governmental body with unprecedented power and resources. Every nation, every corporation, every scientific institution was placed under its unified command. National borders became irrelevant. Military budgets were converted to scientific research. The entire human civilization pivoted toward a single goal: building the star systems Marcus had drawn. Admiral Vasquez became the first commander-in-chief of the Stellar Development Authority. Her first directive was to assemble humanity's greatest minds, physicists, engineers, mathematicians, and astrophysicists, to decode Marcus's drawings into actionable scientific principles. "We have 300 years, she told them in her inaugural address. "That sounds like an eternity. It isn't. We need to establish the first new world within 50 years, then another, then another. We need to spread humanity across multiple star systems before the extinction wave arrives. This isn't exploration. This isn't colonization. This is survival. This is our species' only chance." The implications were staggering. Humanity would need to develop technology that currently existed only in theoretical physics. Gravitational manipulation, stellar engineering, faster-than-light communication, closed-loop life support systems spanning multiple worlds. Dr. Osai and her team worked around the clock, translating Marcus's star system geometry into mathematical frameworks. They discovered something extraordinary. Each drawing contained encoded information about stellar mechanics, planetary formation, and the precise gravitational conditions needed for habitable worlds to develop. "It's not just a map," Osai explained to the assembled authority. "It's a complete instruction manual. They've given us everything we need to know. The physics, the mathematics, the timeline. All we have to do is execute it." Marcus, brought before the full assembly of world leaders, sat calmly in an oversized chair, looking impossibly small against the weight of human civilization's future. When asked if he had anything to add, he simply said, "They said to tell you that you're smart enough, that you can do this. But you have to work together, all of you. No more fighting, no more wars, just building the new homes." And humanity listened. For perhaps the first time in its history, the entire species unified behind a single vision. Not conquest, not survival of the fittest, but the survival of everyone together across the stars. The age of stellar engineering had begun. The year was 2147. 100 years had passed since Marcus Chen first drew the star systems that would save humanity. The boy was now an old man of 108, his hair white, his body frail, but his mind still sharp. He sat in a wheelchair on the observation deck of the Stellar Engineering Command Center, orbiting Earth, watching humanity's greatest achievement take shape. Below him, in the vast expanse of space, the first star system was coming to life. Dr. Sarah Chen, now 96 years old and still serving as chief scientific advisor, stood beside her uncle's wheelchair. Together, they watched as massive gravitational arrays, construct spanning millions of kilometers, began their delicate work. These weren't ships. They weren't weapons. They were the most complex machines ever conceived by human minds, stellar architects. "It's beautiful," Marcus whispered, his aged voice trembling with emotion. The gravitational manipulators were subtle, precise instruments that worked by influencing the fundamental forces of the universe. They didn't push or pull in crude ways. Instead, they shaped the very fabric of spacetime itself, creating gentle currents that drew stellar dust and hydrogen into specific configurations. 7 stars, arranged exactly as Marcus had drawn them a century ago, were slowly coalescing into existence. The first star ignited in a controlled fusion reaction, guided by human technology working in harmony with cosmic forces. Then the second, the third. Within months, all 7 stars of the first system were burning steadily, their light spreading across the darkness for the first time in billions of years. "They're calling it the Marcus system," Sarah said softly. "In honor of you, in honor of what you showed us." Marcus wept silently, watching the stars that bore his name stabilize in their orbits. The second system was initiated in 2153, the third in 2159. Each one followed the precise timeline embedded in the original drawings. Humanity had learned to read the cosmos like a blueprint, and they were executing it flawlessly. Nations that had once warred with each other now collaborated seamlessly. Scientists from every country, every culture, every background worked in unified teams. Politics had given way to pure necessity and purpose. By 2180, 12 star systems had been successfully engineered. Planets were forming around them, not naturally, but guided by human intervention. Gravitational manipulators shaped planetary orbits with mathematical precision. Stellar winds were directed to create atmospheric conditions suitable for life. Water ice was redirected from outer regions, seeded onto developing worlds. Dr. Amara Osai, now 147 years old thanks to advanced medical technology, oversaw the development of the 14th system. She had spent her entire life decoding Marcus's message, and she never tired of the work. The elegance of the system, the way each star formation led to the next, the way the timeline allowed for human adaptation, was a testament to the architect's profound understanding of both physics and civilization. "How many more?" a young engineer asked her during a briefing. 9 more, Osai replied, pointing to the star charts. 9 more systems to complete the full network Marcus showed us, and if we maintain our current pace, we'll have them all established within the next 100 years. By 2198, when Marcus Chen finally passed away peacefully at the age of 159, humanity had successfully initiated 21 of his 23 systems. The old boy who had received cosmic visions while sleeping had lived to see his dream become reality. He had lived to see humanity transformed from a species bound to a single world into a civilization spreading across the stars. His funeral was attended by trillions, not in person, but through quantum-entangled communication networks that connected every human settlement across known space. From orbital stations to established colonies on newly formed worlds, humanity mourned their greatest prophet. Sarah, standing at the memorial, spoke words that would echo across the centuries. "Marcus Chen showed us that we were never alone, that the universe was watching over us, that even in our darkest hour there was hope written in the stars." The final 2 systems were completed in 2205. The network was complete. Humanity's escape route was ready, and the countdown to the extinction wave's arrival had begun in earnest. The year was 2287. 140 years after the extinction wave first appeared on deep space sensors, it finally reached the Sol system. Earth's sky erupted in colors no human had ever witnessed. Cascading sheets of radiation, stellar winds of unimaginable intensity, gravitational disturbances that reshaped the very fabric of space around humanity's cradle world. But humanity was no longer there to witness it. Sarah Chen's great-great-granddaughter, also named Sarah Chen, stood on the observation platform of the primary settlement on Marcus Prime, the first of the engineered worlds. Around her, twin suns hung in a violet sky, their light painting the landscape in shades of crimson and gold. Below, vast cities sprawled across continents, each one a testament to human ingenuity and the architect's guidance. Trillions of humans now lived across the 23 star systems. The population had exploded exponentially as people fled the doomed solar system. Entire civilizations had been born and grown to maturity on these new worlds. Children walked under alien skis, breathing air created by genetically engineered ecosystems designed according to principles Marcus had unknowingly transmitted from his cosmic visions. The quantum-entangled communication network crackled with activity as news arrived from the deep space monitoring stations. Earth was being consumed. The planet's magnetic field had collapsed. Atmospheric layers were being stripped away. The oceans were boiling. The surface temperature had exceeded 2,000 degrees Celsius. Everything humanity had ever known, all of history, all of culture, all of memory, was being erased from the physical world. But the message being transmitted was not one of despair. The extinction wave has passed through the Sol system, the announcement came across every channel. Earth will endure as a lifeless world preserved in stasis by the cosmic event, but humanity has survived. All 23 worlds are reporting nominal conditions. Population transfers are complete. We are secure. Then came the second message, the one that changed everything. A pattern emerged from the stellar radiation of all 23 systems simultaneously. Not random noise, but structured information, mathematical principles, cosmological data, and something more, a star chart that extended far beyond human space. Thousands of star systems mapped out across a region of the galaxy spanning millions of light years. Every single one of them was marked with a distinctive signature indicating settlement, inhabited worlds. Civilizations thriving in the darkness. The message was unmistakable. Humanity was not alone, never had been. The star systems Marcus had drawn weren't isolated refuges. They were nodes in an ancient intergalactic network of countless species, billions of years old. Dr. James Chen, Sarah's grandson and a renowned astrophysicist, decoded the final layer of the message. His voice trembled as he broadcast the revelation across human space. The architects are not external beings. They are not aliens observing us from a distance. They are the network itself, a distributed consciousness existing across millions of worlds spanning billions of years of cosmic history. They are not a species. They are a civilization, a community, and they have invited us to join. The implications crashed over humanity like a tidal wave of understanding. The entities that had guided them, that had shown Marcus the path to survival, were not saviors. They were neighbors, ancient, patient neighbors who had been waiting for younger species to reach sufficient development before extending an invitation to something greater. Humanity had been chosen, not conquered, not enslaved, chosen. In the weeks that followed, communication protocols were established with the greater network. Knowledge began flowing, technological secrets, philosophical insights, historical records spanning billions of years. Humanity learned that they were part of something unimaginably vast, that Marcus's drawings had been a gift, not a command, that the architects trusted them enough to show them the path to integration. Sarah Chen stood on Marcus Prime, watching the twin suns set on the horizon. Somewhere in the quantum foam of spacetime, in the spaces between stars and between atoms, the architects observed. They had seeded countless species throughout the galaxy. Most failed, most never heard the call, but humanity had listened. A child had heard the cosmic whisper, and in hearing they had transformed from a species facing extinction into a civilization ready to join an infinite community of intelligent beings. The dream that Marcus Chen had received in his childhood visions was becoming infinite. Humanity's true age of exploration, not of empty space, but of connection, of integration, of becoming part of something eternal,